This is what books are written about.
But this is no book. A woman was found chained up like a dog after going missing for 2 months. What we know right now.
Friends and family react to the news that a missing Anderson woman was found alive. That story just ahead.
It's frightening to me.
And those who live near the suspect speak out tonight after hearing the horrific things he's accused of doing. The news starts right now.
Live from the news station, this is 7 News at 10.
And we have team coverage tonight to bring you all the details that you really need to know in this developing news today. Our Dave Jordan is in Anderson tonight, speaking with those who knew Kayla Brown. And 7 News reporter Nicole Smith is live in Woodruff tonight, where the police made that shocking discovery. First, we begin with Brianna Smith, who has been at the scene all day gathering information that you need to know.
Helicopters scouring the sky and heavy machinery stirring up the ground.
This is what books are written about.
This 100 acres was covered with law enforcement after they found missing Anderson woman Kayla Brown alive.
In a container chained up like a dog.
Todd Colehep purchased these 100 acres 2 years ago, and neighbors say right after he did, he planted these trees and put up this fence. They say he even talked about putting barbed wire on top of it.
He meant for no one to come in.
But that fence isn't keeping investigators out or Colehep in. He's now in the Spartanburg County Detention Center awaiting a bond hearing. And today, deputies found droves of evidence, including several weapons and ammo. They'll also continue to search for Brown's boyfriend, Charlie Carver, after they found his car today on that property and anyone else that may be there.
This person told us that there might even be 4 people on this piece of property deceased.
But for today, investigators will walk away with good police work, leading them to a piece of good news.
We did find her alive. You know, thank God. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but thank God.
And prayers that they also find Charlie alive. In Spartanburg County, Brianna Smith, 7 News.
Deputies will continue to search for Charlie Carver overnight, and they'll have more volunteers out there in the morning doing the same. Our Dave Jordan has been in Anderson all day, speaking with Kayla Brown's friends and family. And Dave, what an emotional day for them.
Absolutely. You know, Amy, one of the first people to sound the alarm when Kayla Brown went missing without notification or explanation was her friend Lindsay Mason, and she spoke with me tonight about all of the developments, and she's very concerned and she still has answers.
I don't know what tip led them to where she is, but it did bring her home.
For Lindsay Mason, weeks of angst over Kayla Brown's disappearance have come to an end, but the disturbing details of her ordeal are raising new concerns.
She was obviously chained up in a cage and held captive for nearly 70 days.
Brown and her boyfriend Charlie went missing back in August from their Anderson apartment. Mason and a few friends launched a search party, placing flyers with the couple's picture all over Anderson. The news rattled friends and neighbors, especially those who lived in the same apartment building as Brown.
I didn't know if they, thought that I knew something and I'd be next. So I was kind of scared for a long time. I couldn't sleep very well at night.
I wouldn't have expected in a million years that something like this would have happened.
Today, investigators arrested Todd Colehep, a real estate developer who Brown worked for cleaning houses. Mason tells me she met him briefly when she tagged along with Brown on a job.
We went by his house to get a key before we went to the house to clean. Didn't seem like a person that would do anything to anybody. He seemed down to earth.
And Mason tells me tonight that Brown is still in the hospital, although she does not know the extent of her injuries. Her boyfriend is still missing, and the search for him continues tonight. We are live tonight outside the Anderson PD. Dave Jordan, 7 News.
Thank you, Dave. We are continuing to learn more about the shocking details on Todd Colehep's past. We know he is a licensed real estate broker in South Carolina, despite being a registered sex offender with a kidnapping conviction. Our Nicole Smith is joining us live from the scene in Woodruff. And Nicole, what have you been able to find out about how he got his license despite that record?
Well, Amy, it's a question a lot of people have been posing today, even a concern for Sheriff Chuck Wright. As it turns out, criminal background checks are now required to get a real estate license, but that's only since a new law went into effect just a couple years ago.
Todd was a a big bragger.
That's how Vietnam veteran Ron Owen describes the man next door, Todd Christopher Colehep.
Talked about he was getting ready to put his house on the market here. He's going to build a house down on these 100 acres down there.
Colehep has found homes for lots of other people too. He's listed as the broker in charge at TKA Real Estate. A bio on that website says he's on multiple boards of realtors and has degrees from USC and Central Arizona College. What it doesn't say, Colehep is a registered sex offender.
That gets me very, very upset. I don't know that there's any form of humanity that's lower.
7 News has learned back in Arizona when he was 15, Colehep was charged with kidnapping and sexually assaulting a girl who was then 14 years old. Court documents also show Colehep had a psychiatric evaluation where it says, quote, he is an individual with severe underlying emotional issues, which could result in emotional deterioration in the future or continued aggressive behavior towards others in the future. So how has Colehep been able to get a real estate license where he was granted access to people's homes?
Now you do have to get a criminal background check and pass it to get your license, but up until about 2 years ago, there was no requirement.
Criminal background checks were not always part of the process to get a real estate license until a new state law went into place.
If you've already got your license and you don't do any changes, then as the law stands right now, you don't have to do a criminal background check.
Now, during that press conference here at the scene earlier today, Sheriff Chuck Wright says he does not understand how someone registered as a sex offender could be allowed into people's homes as a real estate agent. Live in Woodruff tonight, Nickel Smith, 7 News.
All right, there's more to come on that. Thank you, Nickel. We want to recap now and give you the very latest on what we know at this hour. As the story continues to develop, we'll keep you posted. Spartanburg County deputies again finding Kayla Brown chained up in a storage container in Woodruff. She, along with her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, were reported missing from Anderson County. That was more than 2 months ago. Deputies think Kayla Brown was in that storage container for those 2 months. Her boyfriend is still missing tonight. Brown told deputies that as many as 4 bodies might be buried on the property. Officials, of course, are still searching. That will resume tomorrow. The property belongs to a registered sex offender, Todd Colehep. He's been arrested and is charged with kidnapping. The sheriff, Chuck Wright, says that Colehep could turn out to be a serial killer. We will continue to follow this developing story. We'll keep you updated with the latest details minute by minute as we get them on our website, WSPA.com. You can also get constant instant alerts through your 7 News app. And we have new details on a deadly crash that involved a Spartanburg City employee. In August, that off-duty worker collided with 17-year-old Rico Matthews, who was riding on a moped. That teen's mother asked the Highway Patrol for an independent investigation. Today, troopers told the family they reviewed the police reports and found that Matthews was partly at fault. The family says this does not end their search for justice.
It's just a missing link in my life. It's been hard. I'm still trying to fight for justice for Rico, get the truth, basically.
Fighting Injustice Together says that they will be asking lawmakers to change rules for giving sobriety tests for all fatal accidents. An arrest has been made in connection to an Anderson shooting that left a 13-year-old fighting for her life. Ladaria Strickland now faces attempted murder and weapons charges. The 13-year-old was one of 3 people at a home on Montague Street last week. The shooting happened on the same night as 2 others in the same city. Police say they were gang-related. Greenville city leaders are trying now to make it a little easier for you to voice your concerns, anything that you may have to do with law enforcement. They currently have a commission that hears mostly internal complaints from police and firefighters. They're also supposed to be hearing citizen complaints, but not many people knew that. So they're making changes, including expanding the board from 5 to 7 people. The board appointed by the city council also invited them to change the name from the Commission for Fire and Police Practices to the Public Safety Citizen Review Board. They say the goal here is to become more transparent, especially after tensions with law enforcement around the country.
The national climate has heightened awareness about, concerns with police behavior and conduct. And so I think that, brought to light to take another look at, how aware is the community of an avenue to raise those issues and concerns.
City Council will now have to approve everything that the commission recommended today before they make any implementations. A workshop for that is expected to happen later this month. Testimony began today in the murder trial of a former North Charleston police officer. We're talking about Michael Slager here. He's charged with shooting and killing Walter Scott as he ran from a traffic stop. Today, the judge ruled that Slager would be allowed to remain out of jail on bond during this trial. The family of Walter Scott is saying they're praying for justice.
In the beginning, the Scott family humbled ourselves and we asked that justice do their job. And from this point, we're going to sit back and pray that justice will do their job. And at the end, hopefully we will get justice. And that's all we have to say to the Scott family.
Also, their lawyers say that they're not worried about the jury being mostly white. Investigators in Greenville County say the Clear Springs fire chief has been charged with embezzlement. Joel Lynn is accused of misusing credit cards for personal expenses and manipulating payroll records to get more money. Lynn has turned himself in and is now waiting on a bond hearing at the Greenville County Detention Center. He's also been charged with 2 counts of financial transaction card fraud. Lynn is the second fire chief at Clear Springs to be charged this year. Just months ago, Greg Merritt was accused of embezzling thousands of dollars. This is video from Merritt's bond hearing. Deputies in Greenville County say he misused more than $20,000 of taxpayer money to buy appliances, RV parts, and other things.
All right, well, that cold front that we've been talking about is making its way through the mountains of North Carolina right now. And in the morning, we'll expect breezy conditions and we should see a lot of sunshine all across the day as well. 58 degrees to start the day around the upstate. The mountain low temperature will get down to near 50 degrees. Now, tomorrow is going to be cooler than we have been, but still above average on the temperature. So don't break out the heavy sweaters just yet. But the weekend will bring us some cooler weather. We'll talk more about that in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Amy?
All right, Christy, thanks. Be ready for long lines when it comes time to vote. What you need to know before you cast your ballot next on 7 News at 10.